Hello and welcome to the fourth webinar in our series about how to get more out of your FME. Okay, this fourth webinar is about on-demand data translation. We're talking mostly around FME Server. If you want to look back at any of the videos in this series, you can go see them on the lounge or on Miso portal on YouTube, and they're there for you to look back, watch again, and ask any questions. Any questions, if you reply in the videos below that video on the lounge, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if you have any messages or any questions for this video, do comment below. We'll be around for half an hour after this webinar is done to answer any questions. But again, if you have any after that, we can answer those for you. Okay, so I'm Mike Robbins, a software engineer here at Miso. So let's get started. The business problem you have lots of data held by different teams for different purposes. So you've got your housing team producing housing reports and your finance reports, so on and so on. Sometimes employees in different sectors, different groups need access to that final report on for their own work, for their own projects. Okay, so if they need access to those reports, instead of using, say, the metadata search that we described in the second workspace, then instead they might just need that report. So we can build a workspace to make that report, but have it generated whenever they want it to, whenever they need it, instead of having to search for it or bother each teams for that report. Okay, there's an example there. If fly tipping incident reported individual reports, there's no overview, so the team responsible for that might make a report but then store it on their system. If someone else wants access to that or wants the most up-to-date version of that, instead of having to request it and that team create that report, they can just click a button and generate the most up-to-date report straight away. Okay, so the solution, an FME Workspace that sits on FME Server can be used to generate that single view most up to date using all of the source that workspace will generate and provide up to date version. Okay, it means that they can self-serve that data. They just need to click it. They don't need to bother the team. Once it's set up, it's up there and it's working. Okay, it's quick, easy to run because it's just that one click button. Okay, so let's show you an example workspace that we have. And here it is. It's quite a large, quite a complicated one. Not going to go through it. This could be any workspace that you have. Again, it could be that example that I just said, where you're using a team has lots of source data. They compile a report and they give it and present it out so someone can generate that report whenever they want. And it will always be up to date. So in this one, we're giving the users access to 3 different data sets. You've got GP surgeries, you've got police stations, you've got some schools. We do some styling of it, position them, set some variables for it. All these things you don't need to worry about. We then take Birmingham wards, the ward area of Birmingham. We take some TIFF files as well. So we're going to generate a report for some users so they can see where those schools or medical information and the police stations are in whichever Birmingham area that they want to see, and then present that to them as a PDF. Okay, but we'll need some backdrop mapping as well, so that's why the TIFFs are in there. And we go through, we clip that data for the TIFFs, and we sort our data out that we want, and it all comes together into this section, which could possibly be improved in 2016, possibly even 2015. But it creates a PDF that a lot of people can open, and almost everyone has some sort of PDF reader, so everyone can have access to it. They don't need to have spatial applications or any specialist software. Most people can read PDF, so we're giving it to them in a format they can read. And it will create that kind of GIS feeling of seeing what information is there, positioned on a map, so they can make more informed decisions. So again, it can be something as complicated as this, or something incredibly simple. We just take several sources, merge it together to form a report. Okay. So how do we get this workspace up onto our FME server? Well, it makes it very easy. All you need to do is you get the workspace that you want to upload, you click File, Publish to FME Server, and then you put in your FME server credentials. So I know I've got one running locally, so I can go to localhost, map it to any port. By default, it's 8080. Mine, I've remapped to FME Server 1990. And put your username and password. I hope that's the password I've set for it. You can test the connection to make sure that that is the FME server you can get to. Usually there's firewall issues or things like that. So I've successfully connected, that's good. I'm going to move on to next. I'm saying that I'm using an older version of FME server. So the server I've got is 2015. The workspace I'm trying to publish from is 2016. So it's saying there might be differences between the engines. So there might be newer 2016 transformers that might be uncompatible or just won't be there in 2015. So it's warning me of that. I know that's fine. So yes, I'll continue. And it'll tell me what repository, what workspace I want to put it into. So repository is essentially like folders. So I've made a folder called webinar. And a workspace, I've already uploaded it before, called it elected members. But if I've updated it and I want to replace the one that's up there, I can just click next. Saying I want to overwrite it. Yes, I do. And it'll connect. And it'll give me some options. So how do I want to serve this workspace and its results out to people? I can have it as a data download. So it runs the workspace, creates me the file, stores it stores it locally on the FME server, and then it provides the user with a download link so they can download it whenever they want, and the data is always there. Or I can have it as data streaming. So as soon as the data has been, or the output has been generated, the user can take it straight away, but it's not a persistent thing. They can download it once and stream it out, but then it's gone. Or I can have it as a job submitter. So I could just have it as a single process as part of something much bigger. So if I use a workspace that just does one specific section or something bigger, maybe calls out to a database or sends an email somewhere, I can have on my desktop a transformer called a FME Server Job Submitter, which will connect to the FME server, run this workspace, and then tell me if it's successful or not. So I can get FME Server to do maybe a more bulky task instead of my desktop doing that bulky task. And then you've got some others for connecting to KML, notification services. So when it starts or when it finishes, if you want to send an email out or add to a queuing service, things like that. If you want WFS links to serve out mapping or vector layers, and WMS for those mapping layers. Okay, so I'm just going to leave the top three, data download, data streaming, job submitter, up. I'll publish that, complete the transfer, and all it's done is taken that FMW file, your workspace, uploaded it locally onto that FME server. Okay, so let's have a look at our FME server. Okay, so this is my local one. This is in 2015. Now, important that I'm noting that because we'll have a look at different years. So this is 2015. It's a very simple interface. Very simple. Maybe some might say a little bit bland, but it does the job. And you can see you can run a workspace, which will get me started. I can schedule workspaces to run. So if I always want a workspace to run every day or every hour, something like that, it's essentially a task scheduler, a Windows task scheduler. We can do that. We can create notifications. So we can say when a workspace is finished, send an email to this address, things like that. Okay, so we're going to workspaces, which it calls workspaces, but then the URL says repositories, so they're still deciding on naming. Go to the webinar folder, and there's my elected members, FMW, that workspace. If I click on that, it'll show me the three options that I enabled for it: job submitter, data stream, data download. So let's say I just want to submit the job. It'll list all of the published parameters that I can use. So whichever ward I want to select, it's all taken from the workspace. And which option do I want? Do I want just GP surgeries and police stations, or do I want to add schools to it as well? Okay. So I could run this workspace here, and it would process and give me a log file and produce a output on the default location. Or, more interestingly, if I click this developer information, it will provide me a URL link. So if I went to this URL, which would be my computer name, the port, and the whole link, I could get this FME server to run the job just by one URL click. So if I want to embed this job onto, say, an intranet or a public-facing website, I can get customers or users or colleagues to click that link and produce it. And this will be exactly the same for data stream and data download, not just job submitter. Okay? It'll even give you a very quick generated form to be a little bit prettier. But that's up to you whether you want to go through FME Server or go through your own intranet or your own website. So an example of this is this exact workspace we've implemented into our test website, and it's called Northwood Council. So here it is. And here's that elected members section. We've taken that form, taken the URL, and put it into here. So I can say, I want Bartley Green, I want just these two services, and then I can click Get My Map. And that will send the link over to FME Server. That will run the workspace, and it's a data download service. So as soon as it's done, it gives me a return link back. So I can click here, and it downloads a FME and then a temporary kind of serial number. So it's not overwriting anything. So I can click that, I'll open it up. I can see that's my PDF generated just for me. And I can see the clicked out tile, that TIFF tile, the Birmingham ward that I selected, and then all of these links, all of these different objects that I selected. So for instance, the schools, click on and off, GP surgeries, I click on and off. So it's an interactive kind of GIS experience, but for someone who doesn't need map info or ARC or things like that. Okay. Now, before I said I was running 2015 locally, but our Northwood site is running FME Server 2014. You'll see the differences in just a moment. So here's a 2014 display. Still got authentications. But when you log in, the difference is, if I show you the 2015 one, the home page has taken a big change. And 2016, again, will have that same sort of change. But everything else is pretty much the same. You've still got scheduling, you've still got notifications, you've got repositories where you store things, and you've still got what jobs are currently running. So if your FME server is running a lot of jobs, you can see them start, stop, and how it's being managed. A good thing with FME Server, as opposed to just having desktop run, is if a job is sent to FME desktop, it will run that one job. But if you try and run it again, you might say, I'm already running one thing, I can't run the second, and then it will drop it out. It won't do that. And you've lost that second job. For FME Server, it will queue things up. So the first job goes out, someone's clicked a link, they're generating something, FME Server is currently working, and it's using one of these engines, one of the FME engines. When the second job comes in, if you've only got one engine and it's currently in use, it won't drop that job away. It will store it, it will queue it. So as soon as the first one is finished and the engine becomes available, it will start on the second job immediately afterwards. So you're never losing anything with FME Server, it just queues them up. And talking about engines, you're not limited to one, you can have two, I believe you can have up to 8, possibly even more, different engines. So you could potentially 8 different jobs working at the same time, with as many as you want queued up to run as soon as an engine becomes available. Now, the good thing with having this difference between FME Server and FME engines is we can upgrade these engines to a different version of FME, but keep all of the REST API and all of how our notifications and our schedules and our repositories are set up can remain exactly the same. And we can still take advantage of 2016 and 2017 and so on. So when you download FME Server, you can choose to download the whole thing and get a brand new FME Server, but you have to set everything else up. Or FME Server Engines 2016. So the reason we can keep our 2014 FME Server up and live with everything connected is because if we need to use 2016 features like the feature writer or the attributes manager that's in 2016, we just need to upgrade those engines, restart FME Server, everything else works. All of the links on the Northwood site still work, but we can use more up-to-date features in 2016. Okay, so go back to an overview. Oh, skip past this. An FME server. We need an FME workspace produce an output, so we can publish that workspace up to FME Server. Okay. Once we've done that, configure the parameters for the workspace, and then do we want any notifications or any triggers? Then we need to decide, are we going to give people access directly to FME Server so that they can run the workspace or download a file directly from the server, or do they want to go to the website, go to your website and click your link that you set up? Okay? And then keep them up to date. If we're developing newer workspaces to do different things, make sure that the FME Server engines are up to date as well. Okay? A little bit more overview. Keeping those licensing set up as well. So FME Server in 2015 and below uses FlexLM, a licensing server, and it's a floating license server, and FME uses that exclusively. If you do go into floating licenses for your desktop, that can be merged. So you hit your FME server to get desktop licenses, so it can be all merged in one place. 2016 does licensing slightly differently in that they're moving away from a licensed server. The key benefits: enables aggregation of data. So again, as I said at the start, if you've got lots of source data, you make this one workspace to generate your report, then make it available for customers or colleagues. It means that they can benefit from those reports and not have to bother that team about it to get access, or have to trawl through their network, as in the second webinar, to find it. It's always up to date. It's always taking the most up-to-date data. Depending on how you build that workspace, you can give out that report in a PDF or maybe a CSV file or something else, so they don't have to have specialist software to actually view it. Okay? And if it's self-service, they're always getting up to date. It's less duplication. There's less likely of any issues or any problems. Okay? And it means they can access that data quicker. They don't have to bother you for it. So another summary: make sure the right people can have access to it. It'll save some time, so they don't have to go around and look for it. It's quite straightforward. You publish from FME desktop, and then all of those parameters can be set up in FME Server, or you can create that form so it's self-service and they can change the parameters whenever they want. Okay? You can have, as I just said, have it on your website or go directly through FME Server. And there's also a big REST API. So you can essentially make your own monitoring service and see what jobs are running through your own admin pages or your own intranets, start and stop processes, and things like that. Okay? And it's suitable for external. So you can put those links on public website and customers can just go through there, get the data they want, get the reports that they want, and not have to phone in and clog up help desks and things like that. Okay? So thank you for listening. I hope that that's been a bit more informative about how to use FME Server or the benefits of FME Server. If you have any questions, do comment below and I'll get back and I'll be around for half an hour to answer any of those questions straight away. Again, if you want to view this later, this video should be immediately available, but YouTube might take a couple of minutes for it to make it persistent. But you can view this video and all the other videos on the lounge to see and ask any other questions on those. Next time, we're talking about HTTP callers, so going off to the internet and pulling down files automatically and dealing with those, not having to click them, download them yourself, and then interacting with that information. Okay, all done automatically. Okay, so I'll see you next time.